Hello and welcome to the Tuesday Night Music Show in front of a studio audience on a Monday night. But it doesn't matter because it's probably going to get posted on like a Friday or something anyway, right? That's what I'm thinking. Jay's here. Say hi, Jay.
Hi, Jay.
And we got Howie.
Hey.
Who are we talking to? Hey, Brian.
Hey, what's going on? Earlier,
why does Eric look like Alec Baldwin?
I don't know. Nobody else can see him but you, though. We're recording a show. You're the only one who can see him.
Oh, okay.
The audience can't see him. So anyway, earlier, John Young had a show with Dan Carpenter and MJ, and they were talking about different ways that they could give back to the DJ industry. Now, I was busy and tuned in probably about 25 minutes late. And by the time I got there, John was talking about ways that could negatively affect you by helping others, the ways that could come back and kick you in the teeth. And, I heard them out, and I'm not necessarily saying they're wrong about what some of the things they were discussing. If you're curious about that show, check it out. Go watch it. But I don't know. I'm all about helping other people, and that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
Now, I have a philosophy that's a little strange, and a lot of people don't subscribe to it. And that is, I'll tell you everything I know about this thing of ours. I'll tell you about all the equipment I use. I'll tell you how to set it. I'll tell you about all the music that I have. I'll tell you all the things I say on the microphone. I'll tell you how I say them on the microphone.
Money.
But it's not a threat to me because I'm the one who pulls it off the way I pull it off. I'm not convinced that just because you have all of my stuff, you can pull it off the same way. You're going to put your own artistic spin on it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys feel about that?
I agree.
I agree. I mean, I think all three of us we give it away.
We're pretty open books.
Yeah. Really.
I don't think any of us have ever, and I'm sure Brian and Howie, you're both the same way. Not a day goes by I don't get a message from somebody asking me a question about Pioneer DJ gear.
Yeah.
Every day. It's a given. Yeah. Like, this, just tell me, and I'll tell them what I know.
I did have to draw the line, though, because I get so many of them that, then it escalates to where it's 2-3 hours. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. And I had to say, look, I offer tutoring, in DMX, for $50 an hour. And then the tire kickers, you never hear from them again. They stop nickel and diming you. But the sincere people, I not tell them, look, I have 5-10 minutes or just answer a question. I'm happy to do that.
Sure.
But if you want me to take you from 101, that's my time.
I agree. Yeah. You're teaching a skill. I'm talking more about the hey, I'm looking at buying a DDJ 1000 SRT. What's your thoughts on that piece? I really like it. I've used it for a couple of years. Sure. I'm a huge fan of this. If they go into then more detail, what would you recommend I get? I'll usually say to them, it comes down to the software, the application, and I apologize. I'm not really in a position at this very moment to have a long discussion about it. Any of these pieces would be great. If you're specific to something I can answer, I'll do my best to do so.
Right.
I just looked at the XDJ XZ. Okay, I've used it for going on 2 years. It's the best piece of gear I've ever used. That's all you're going to hear from me. I'm not going to say, let me walk you through it. You're not getting a walkthrough.
Right.
If you, and I've had people say, hey, what would it take for me to get an hour of your time? And I will say to them, it would take money. And I will Zoom you and I will walk you through it. If my expertise is worth it to you, then you will pay me. If it is not worth it to you, then I would give YouTube as the next best thing and do the dirty work. But I agree with it's the old car analogy, Brian. I know how to drive a car, you know how to drive a car, Howie knows how to drive a car. But we're not race car drivers.
Yeah.
So if I get a race car driver's car, I can drive a car, doesn't mean I can win a race.
Yeah, I mean it's
not the car, it's the driver. It's not the gear, it's the DJ.
Right.
So you could go take my exact setup and go do an event and crush it better than me or screw it all up. it's you, not me.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the gear. It's what you do with the gear. It's how you manipulate sound with what you have in front of you.
Of course.
Well, I prefer to inspire people as opposed to giving them, okay, like, oh, here, play these 10 songs right in a row. You'll have a full dance floor. No, just give them an inspiration, you know, like I do with lighting, kind of like what I did with Jay with the, hey, dude, here you go. Here's the canvas. Here's the paintbrushes. And
you be creative with it.
You're the creative artist.
I'll give mixes all the time. My Happy by Pharrell, into Shake It Off by Taylor Swift, into Outkast, Hey Ya. I've said that 1,000 times. And I've had guys come back to me on message and say, dude, I played that the other night and it crushed. I'm like, told you. You want another one? Little John, Turned Down for What? And loop the beginning of Luke Bryan, Country Girl, Shake That For Me. It kills. Actually, American DJ brought me out, American DJ Association, to Phoenix a few years ago because they felt their DJs weren't really looking at these kind of crazy mix sets. And I came out and gave them like 20 different scenarios of tracks I play that I found really work well together. And some of them I stole from other DJs and some of them I came up with on my own. And, you know, I want to see every DJ get better. And I've always maintained this for 20 some odd years. If every DJ in the country is getting better and doing a great job and now charging more money, I can charge more money.
Right.
I was gonna mention your mixes, and you've been very open about, you know, what you feel works well together and what songs specifically work well together and how to mix them. It reminds me of, you know, way back when I started doing this in clubs and stuff, there were DJs who only had songs that no one other DJ had. There were record stores that would hold records back a week or so a DJ could get a leg up. That was a thing. If you had the song, you know, then you had a leg up from the other DJs. And I never liked that because I was never that DJ who got that secret stash. I was never that cool. I was a young kid. But I think about that a lot. I'm thinking, my God, if those DJs didn't have those tracks, would they really have been better than me?
Right.
Probably not. So what's the talent there? There's not talent there. That's just an unfair advantage that they have over me.
Yeah.
So that's why when I talk about things like you, Jay, I like to share, you know, what songs I feel like work well together, what types of songs I feel like work well in certain sets and certain genres, and what are some of the ones that maybe you wouldn't think would work well, but I found do. I love sharing that stuff. Whether people actually use them or not, it's another thing, or if they even know how to, you know, go ahead and work them into their sets. I don't know. But yeah.
But the goal is to get them to share back. Like, I have a YouTube channel with 560 videos, and 280 of them are DJ tips in under a minute. I didn't do those because I didn't know what I was doing. I did those as, hey, here's a tip. What I'm always looking for is someone to come back to me and say, hey, Jay, here's a tip.
Yeah, right.
Oh, awesome. Oh, that's a cool mix, Jay. Have you ever tried this? I remember in the 90s having someone come up to me and go, oh, you playing Unforgettable? It was another DJ, and it was on a boat. And he was there, and he comes running up to me. He goes, dude, you ever mix this into At Last? I'm like, no. He goes, they mix perfect. He goes, you know that, like, kind of ambient ending of Unforgettable, the duet? He goes, when you get to that, it's like 20 seconds out. Hit play on At Last. You don't even really have to change pitch, because the beginning of At Last has got
the
that
orchestration
build.
Yeah,
and it worked perfect. And I was like, because again, I'm that guy. You know, I was at a place yesterday and there was a band playing. They had a full dance floor to this song, and the band stops, and then they look at each other like, what do we want to do next? And the dance floor goes away, and I'm like, oh my God, you have a full fucking dance floor. Like, play another song.
Right.
Like, continue. Why you stop? And even Michelle goes, why do they always stop? I go, because they're not a DJ, they're a band.
That's
DJs think, how do I keep them going?
Unless they're a show band.
Well,
and then, like
they're looking at it like, let's keep it jamming. Well, even doing like, let's get it on and Al Green, you know, let's stay together. like you hear those songs, you just go, oh, they have nothing in common with each other, but they're a good build in a set. They're a good build to start coming up the ladder. And I love learning. I really, really do. I love watching your stuff and every other DJ on YouTube stuff to try to get ideas. Like, man, I never would have tried that. The Luke Bryan thing, that sheerly came out of the BPMs were close. And I put on the headphones and was like, man, if I do this like down, 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 and I do this breakout on like filter out of the break on Little John, I might be able to pull this off. I'll try it. And it worked really, really well. And it worked so well, I did it at a wedding in Fallbrook that a woman and guy came up to me at the end of the night and they said, we're getting married next year. We're friends with the bride and groom. And she had a checkbook in her hand. She goes, we want to hire you for our wedding. Are you available on like March 13th? I'm like, on the phone? Yes, I am. Great. How much? I said, well, actually, if you guys want to meet, we'll meet at the venue. I can meet you next week and we'll go over all the details and we'll write a contract and everything. And the reason it sticks out was A, they were a super cool couple, but B, when we got there, he had an envelope with $100 bills in it for the deposit. And instead of handing it to me, he put it on the table and he slid it.
Nice.
And then I took it and I put it under the table and I go, I just want you guys to know, if we end up in the same jail cell tonight, it's because this is the classic Miami Vice drug deal where you push the money and then I took it off the table.
Yeah, it's very Tony Soprano.
But it was those moments of, we love what you did with mixing different genres.
Right.
And by the way, I'm the first to admit, I'm not the greatest DJ, but I always want to be a better DJ on Tuesday than I was on Monday. Sure. That's my only goal. And I meant what I said.
If I don't, you'll go for a half hour.
I wanted to say something 10 minutes ago.
We all did. We all did. I was going to give him a lead in on something that I wasn't able to because he just ran over it. That's okay. Go ahead, Howie.
No, I'm just thinking that this is, at least amongst our group and our family, so to speak, is the true nature of networking. I think too many DJs think of networking as, what can I get?
Right. What will I get back? Yeah.
But with us, it seems like, hey, man, hey, you got to try this. Hey, try this thing out. Try that. We're always ready to give before we're ready to ask.
We get excited about discovery.
Yeah, we do, though. I mean, it's just like that little thing I talked to you about on the phone today. I'm like, oh my God, hey, that freaking works. Oh, you got to try this,
Speaking of that thing we talked about, Howie, speaking of that, I was going to talk about this a little bit.
Did it work?
Well, I don't know. So far, no. But I was thinking about the power supply that I needed for that Omar's pack. It's very specific. It's like 16 point something volts or something.
16.8 volts. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing, everything's 9 volt or 12 volt or whatever, or 5 volt. This is like this wackadoodle thing that it needs. And I've got this drawer full of wall warts, these DC things. And I don't know if anybody's seen it or not, but I've been doing Tuesday DJ gig tips.
I did see that.
You did.
And yeah, because I do that with all of mine too.
Yeah, it's a great idea, Brian. And people should watch this video because it's so obvious.
They should
and
watch.
None of us do it.
Well, basically the video is about labeling your DC power supplies. But I had to do something for the gig tip because I'm going to be gone. And I usually do that every Tuesday for Vibo. It's sponsored by Vibo. So I want to get something out. Well, I'll just do this. This is helpful. And this is something that Howie does, but I haven't really done it. And I need to do it because I'm not keeping track of my things like I should.
Did you find it?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I did. And I was using the right one before. In fact, it was right where I left it on the floor over there. So it wasn't in the drawer full of all the other ones. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to share those kind of tips to make people's lives easier. And we help each other out. Howie, inspired me to do that today. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I wasn't sure. I had some ideas, but I wasn't sure. That wasn't a long video. But it's helpful. And I like being helpful.
And Brian, by the way, you can go to Amazon now and get pretty much any power supply you need. You get, 3 amp and 5 volt and this and that and different ends. You used to go to Radio Shack and you'd get this little strip that would out all different sizes. I won't say the company name, but if you want a direct power supply replacement from some companies, I'm a little shocked to find out that some of them cost upwards of $300.
Well, here's what I was going to add to that. Just on that tip. I mean, and I won't talk about this for long, but I will say that for Howie to write down that it's 16.8 volts and 1.21 gigawatts and all the other stuff on there is nice, but it doesn't mean anything to me because I'm stupid. Right. So for me to just take something out of the box and say, okay, this is for my Bubbletron Go. So what I'm going to do right now is just label it Bubbletron Go. So I don't have to know any of this stuff. I just know it goes with that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was talking about. So we could break it down into this is 9 volt, this is 12 volt, this is 16.8 or whatever. But yeah, the concept was generally just kind of for the layman like myself, hey, just label this crap so you know what goes to what.
Right.
But it was helpful,
Super helpful.
And it's not like no one's done a video on this before. And that's the next thing I wanted to talk about. MJ had mentioned that, and I understand how he feels because he was talking about how people will ask him questions about topics he's already covered. And he just doesn't want to talk about it again. Or it's a topic that somebody has covered. They haven't done the research and they're going to him because they want him to spoon feed him information.
Right.
And then Dan said, well, they came to you because they trust you. And for one reason or another, they weren't able to comprehend. Well, they may not have looked for it at all, but if they did, maybe they weren't able to comprehend what that particular presenter was trying to express to them.
Sure.
Which is my next point. It's totally cool to cover subjects more than once. Let's say Jay talks about something. And
because
Jay talks about it
in a different way.
Yeah, but Jay does a pretty good job, at explaining things. But maybe there's somebody out there who learns a little different than Jay learns. So maybe I learn that way. Maybe I'm the one who does a video just like Jay's, and they get it from me. Or maybe Howie does a video. We just all three of us do a video on the same topic, but we got a different spin on it. We're explaining it different ways. Everyone learns different. And this is the empathy thing that I try to stress, man. We got to have empathy for others, not only our clients, but other DJs and our audience, and try to put ourselves in their place. And John said it perfectly. He said, Ben Stowe can do a video on a subject and talk about, the very specific scientific things that are going on with this. And it'll be 15 minutes long, very informative, and it'll get you there if you're Howie. But if you're a dummy like me, I can do a video saying the same thing. Here's this thing, you plug this thing in, it does this, and it makes this happen, and it works. It's the same video. I just left out all the details. Sometimes people want more details. Sometimes they want less details. Sometimes they'll start at my video and end up at Ben's video.
Right.
But it's just all about, trying to be helpful and trying to relate to as many as you can, because not everyone's going to be able to process the stuff the same. I don't learn the same as other people. The way that I do it,
see, some people will give that verbal information much like they're reading a manual. And I realize that there are certain people that are kinesthetic learners, meaning they have to see
visual.
So I've developed a thing called I use the OBS with AirDrop. So I have my iPad right on the screen, and I can actually have them, okay, have your iPad ready now. Tap here, watch what happens. And then they go, oh, and then all of a sudden they have an aha moment, and it's like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't get it from reading the manual, but because I showed them where to touch with their finger, they go, oh, that's what they meant.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, so people learn different, like you said.
they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
And I give it up to all the educators out there in schools, because you've got to appeal to a lot of different personality types, and you try to hit them all. That's kind of, I know when I do videos, I'm speaking to a certain audience. I'm not speaking to everyone. I'm speaking to a certain audience who I feel like will understand the way I'm presenting it. I don't know. And then I get frustrated because I think I've hit it, and then someone in the comment section clearly doesn't get it. But sometimes they just weren't listening.
Right.
But MJ was saying, what he was trying to get at is, if the information is out there and you're too, you're not motivated enough to seek it, maybe you don't deserve it.
Oh, no,
I thought about that comment.
That's
yeah,
wrong.
that kind of.
Well,
That's
no,
wrong.
MJ feels the way he feels, and that's okay. But I thought
I
about
respect
this.
that, but I still think it's wrong.
I was thinking about cars. You guys look at me like I'm the car wizard. I'm not. Okay. I looked the stuff up.
Like that.
I kind of understand. Well, you're talking about I'm this mechanic guy because I diagnosed your car going down the Atlantic City Expressway when your alternator failed. But I just looked this stuff up and I learned and I watched things. I don't know it all. I don't know how a lot of things work on the car I have, but I'm learning. And I may ask a question that someone who is very seasoned would feel is very elementary. And maybe it's been covered in things I've watched, but it just kind of went over my head at the time. And I needed a detailed explanation. And it happens. Just because the information is out there doesn't mean that you're all going to be able to process it the same way.
Right.
Well, sometimes you need a lifeline to reach out to someone you trust to guide you, or even give you a link to a video if you have to.
But it's also, how do you get to the answer? The other day, I was trying to explain percentage. And I said, you have $500, you need 15%, that's 75. And my kids kind of looked at me like, where'd you come up with that? I said, well, because I know 15% of 500 is 75. Give me a number. It's like 15% of 600. I'm like, okay, that's 90. But how did you get that? And I explained the process of 5 times 6 and 1 time, like I went through it for them and they like, oh, does that always work? I'm like, yeah.
It's math.
Or just do 10% and get 60 and then do half is 30 and that's 90.
Right.
So that's 1 in 5. Like,
Right.
I already know how to do that. Now, you bring up the car thing. My son knows much, much more than I do about cars. Last week I had to go to a wedding, and his Volvo with 311,000 miles on it was in front of my car. So I got in to start it, and it would crank but not turn over. So I had to physically push it out of the driveway into the street. And Volvos are heavy, I found out.
Yeah. They're safe
And
cars.
they're very safe cars. They're boxy, but safe.
They're good. Yeah.
They're safe
movie,
when you're on the inside.
Kentucky Fried Movie. Or no.
No, the other one.
Amazon Women on the Moon.
The Crazy People.
Amazon Women on the Moon.
But also Crazy
Volvo.
People with Dustin.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They're boxy, but they're good.
They're
yeah.
boxy, but they're safe as F or something.
Yeah. Crazy people are.
And I call Connor and I go, yeah, the car won't start. What do you mean? Did you try jumping? And I said, yeah, I backed it up in reverse, couldn't get it to jump. Okay. So later that night, I get home from the wedding and Connor's here and I go, what's wrong with the Volvo? He goes, well, I went on a bunch of forums and I called 2 Volvo dealerships and told them the symptoms. And it sounds, from what I've been able to find out, it's the cam sensor position or cam position sensor.
Cam position sensor. Yeah.
Cam position sensor. I said, does Amazon have one? Let me check. They do, but everyone said get Bosch. Does Amazon have the Bosch? Hold on. They do. Order it. Well, it's $50 more than the other. I said, order it. He orders it. It shows up, and 10 minutes, he calls me, he goes, hey, Amazon delivered. It's here. I'm going to put it in. Okay. Not even 5 minutes later, he sends me a video of the exhaust pipe with, smoke coming out. And I'm like, AKA the car started. I'm like, okay, great. Wow. And afterwards I said, do you mind if I ask you something? He's like, yeah. I said, you didn't know what was wrong, did you? He goes, no. I said, what was the process for you to figure it out? He goes, I started with the forums and I looked for car will crank, won't start.
Right.
And after seeing 5 of those posts that all said it's the cam position sensor, I called the dealership and said, can I talk to the service department? I've got a 780, 98 Volvo, cranks won't start. Does this sound like a cam position sensor? Yeah, that's a big thing that goes in the 5-cylinder, this and that. And I took all that together, and then I came back to you and said, I think confidently it's this.
Right.
So his process is very interesting to me.
No, it's good. That's kind of how I do stuff sometimes.
Right.
And
But it also really works.
I do
Now,
dial a Pollock on a lot
both
of
of
that
us
stuff.
have something in common now. Both of our vehicles are part Electro Voice, because when I broke down on the Atlantic City Expressway, they put a Bosch alternator
Yes,
in.
that's funny you say that. Yeah, now that you mention that, that is true. Bosch
Yeah.
owns Electrovoice.
So I'm gonna give you guys a little car tidbit here in the middle of this just to break it up. We'll call it an intermission. If you go to somewhere like AutoZone, okay,
Yes.
and they have and you're looking for foreign like European car parts, Volvo, Volkswagen, Porsche, whatever you're looking for, and they say, well, we have the generic and we have the Bosch. Get the generic because it's Bosch.
Oh, okay. He
I'm
only
just
went with the
saying.
Bosch because they all claimed we tried, and I will be completely
No,
honest.
I'm not disagreeing.
Have you had that happen though?
No,
I've had
no.
like the Chrysler.
You're not
I went with a
listening.
non-Chrysler OEM.
That's
and
different.
it didn't work, and then I went with the Chrysler, and it was like it worked immediately. I'm like, oh.
If it says Bosch or generic or whatever, and it doesn't specifically say Dorman or whatever.
right.
Mhm.
If it's just kind of an off-brand, it's a Bosch. Spend less money because it's going to be Bosch in the box.
Okay.
That's just how it works.
right.
Something I learned in the car business.
Except for the starter. 'Cause
Not domestic. Not domestic. I'm
looked-
talking foreign.
I looked it up, and they said that they're varying qualities and that it was recommended. I was lucky that's all that they could get, because I would have went with the remanufactured one. But
At
I
any
lucked
rate,
out.
we lost a few thousand people with the car
I
analogy.
was gonna say, yeah, we went down.
Yeah,
the
but
road
we
where-
did.
So we should
Well,
probably
then-
go back to the more DJ stuff. But I don't even know if there's anything else to say about this.
Speaking of sharing and getting inspired, I can't even say that I stole this, because Jay actually gave it to us. And
Okay.
this is what I've been doing. What Jay shared,
Taking the picture.
I would when Jay does those, like, hey, these two go really good together, I immediately put them on Serato and take a picture of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to post that video
Thank
because
you.
I have 70
Jay.
of them now. I have a
You
folder
should-
on my phone.
You should make a quick tip video.
Yeah, no, I have to and I keep meaning to, and it's one of those I've been derelict on YouTube of late, and it's
You've been a
really
derelict
bad.
for a while, Jay. Don't put yourself down. It's all right.
Is it this one? Yeah, I mean, if you want to know how bad it is, here. This is the actual folder on my
Nice.
phone.
You should have folders for your pictures. I just have a folder that says pictures on it.
No,
Yeah, that's
like
what
this
I
is, see, these are all
There's pictures
from
and
weddings.
videos in it.
Yeah, this is all weddings I've done where I've taken a photo of the two songs to remember that they go well together.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well,
so
do something with
Nice.
it. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's I don't understand not wanting all of us to be better. I remember going to my first Mobile Beat in 1997 and feeling like I was part of a tribe or a secret society or whatever you want to call it, because everyone in the room was like me. I was the director of entertainment for a yacht company, making great money with a lot of responsibility, spending millions of dollars a year on gear and talent and everything else. But I viewed myself as the same as the guy that does one wedding a month.
Right.
We were DJs, and I was so proud to be in a room full of DJs.
Yeah. It's nice to have someone
It's
who
never
understands where you're
changed.
coming from.
Right. I
Yeah.
work with arguably one of the best brands in the industry, and I take an immense amount of pride and honor out of having never been that jerk at a show that's like, oh, he's with so-and-so, you can't talk to him. I'm a DJ. I say every seminar I've ever done, I start with, hey, everybody, it's Jay with Pioneer DJ. I'm a full-time mobile wedding DJ.
No, you are liked. And I know this from being in that very unique position where everyone talks to me. Mm-hmm. There's not many people like that at shows who are connected with companies.
Yeah,
where everyone will talk to me, and you are very well liked.
And I appreciate that, because I want everyone to know I'm just like them. I might have this shirt.
I'm like most of the time.
As a matter of fact, I saw, if you want a good time, it was written in Beret's bathroom, call Jay.
Call Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he will try to do a triple tequila with you, but it may not go well.
So I'm going to just kind of maybe veer off a little bit to the left, but not completely stop, on our trip to Disneyland here tonight. I said something to Howie off camera about a week ago. And I wasn't even thinking about when I said it. And I have this problem. It's cognitive disorder. And sometimes whatever pops in my head comes out of my mouth. And I had said to Howie that he's a different guy on camera than he is off camera.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
What do you mean? I said, no. When you're doing your Hanging with Howie show, your cadence is different. Everything is different. I said, it's not bad. It's just different. I think I got in his head a little bit because I've noticed he's more natural tonight.
I think he has
on his show, but on this show.
No, and when he does his show, I notice.
Did I screw with your head a little bit, Howie?
No, but he does it in he's in control cadence. He does it in this is my show and I have a presentation to give, and he's very authoritative on it, and I completely get it.
No, but he didn't do it tonight. He was just like, hey guys, hanging with Howie. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. I was like, whoa. I didn't really
notice, but I've seen him. He's immensely professional.
Yes.
When he does his show. And it is a different cadence. It is a different speed.
It wasn't negative criticism at all. It was just an observation.
No, it's a compliment.
But I was afraid the way I said it, I got in his head.
Right.
But it's okay, because I enjoyed his show tonight and how he ran it. It was cool. Not that he didn't do it good before. He did fine.
I really don't know. I mean, it's kind of like if you hear your own voice on tape and you go, do I sound like that?
Yeah.
And I did not consciously do anything different. I didn't even know when you made the comment. I'm like, really? I hadn't noticed that I did anything different, but sometimes I do try to, stay on task, because originally John said, hey, I'd like you to do a show on Mondays, but keep it 20 mintes, half hour at the most. And we go a lot longer than that, but sometimes. He doesn't mind because we get good numbers. So,
well, you get a lot of people on your show. See, we kick everybody out. And it's just the three of us. Just make everybody else watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's different.
I think he does it as like a ringleader thing. And that's how I always took it. Like, on his show, he is different than in the chill room or on our show, because on his show, it's his name.
Right. And it's interesting because, I think about Jay here on our show. It's no different than Jay any other time. It doesn't matter. It's just Jay. I'd like to think that I'm the same here than I am otherwise. I don't think I put on any kind of facade or something when I'm doing these shows.
No. I did a training 2 weeks ago for Guitar Center. I did 300 people on Zoom.
Oh.
So all I see is a bunch of names.
Right.
And then I'm the host. So the camera goes to me. So I had two cameras, one on the gear and one on me. And I opened with like, hey, everyone, I'm DJ Jay with Pioneer DJ, yada, yada, yada. And then I go over the gear. And then we get to the questions. And they're like, well, how could I do this to this? And I'm like, it's an interesting question. You really can't. But, this is a prestigious moment. Let's talk about guitars. An Epiphone Les Paul is the same as a Gibson Les Paul until you look at the headstock and realize this. So I got the feedback from the head of sales.
You know about guitars.
But But you know what, Brian? At the same time, just like you would do when, and this is something I try to explain to DJs.
Yeah.
Always be in the moment.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking to guys at Guitar Center, so they could be drum techs, they could be keyboard, they could be guitar,
Right.
they could be DJ, but they're probably not DJ.
Right.
They're everyone else. So speaking a language they understand. So when I gave the Epiphone to Gibson Les Paul thing, I said I just bought a Gibson Les Paul. When I look at the headstock, that's much different than looking at an Epiphone. I did like 8 comments about like his comparison between Gibson and Epiphone was so spot on. This guy knows his stuff. Like I was just in the moment, and I think
Right.
that's the reality of what we do.
Yeah.
We all make fun of the ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most amazing. But there's a lot of very successful DJs who have a different voice and persona.
Right. There
They
are.
work.
And yeah.
When they're in reality. I love hearing from clients who will say to me when I show up and I've never met them, like, oh, we saw one of your videos, you look and sound the same. Or, nope, we knew what we were getting because we saw this. And you want that continuity. If you're going to be the big voice guy, then you better be the big voice guy at all times on the phone.
It's interesting you say that, because I think I've been hard on people about that whole ladies and gentlemen thing. And then people have gotten really, taken offense to it. And, again, I will admit that perhaps I've been hard on people for being that person. Having been on this kind of 30 plus year journey of developing an MC style and knowing people like you, Jay, I can pick on you about it because you got no business doing it.
Right.
Because you're better than that.
Am. Right.
Well, you're capable of more than this script thing. You are an improv guy.
Yeah.
And I have picked on you about it. I'm like, why are you doing this? Just be you, and they're going to love you. You're going to be better than anything else I've seen. What you're doing is just a copy of what somebody else is doing. You do you, and they're going to love you.
Right. And I think that's a tough thing to, and you'll agree with this, Brian. We're all trying our best.
Of course.
To get better at what we do. And we're all trying our best to be excited and to, I genuinely enjoy doing my weddings. I'm not going to lie. I'm not that guy that's like, oh man, I can't believe I'm stuck doing a wedding. No, I'm quite the opposite. I'm actually really happy.
Yeah. I love doing weddings too, but I'm glad they're over for now. Oh my God.
Right.
I don't know. And there's going to be somebody out there that's like, what are you talking about? I'll do a wedding every day. Good for you.
Yeah.
I love eating pizza. I can't eat pizza every day. I'm not Rachel. I can't do that. I got to break it up with a hamburger and a hot dog and some macaroni and cheese or a steak or something, because otherwise I will not ever want to eat pizza again. I got that way with weddings this year. I worked hard. I took an awful lot from my clients. They were challenging. I love the challenge. I love the performances. I got great feedback, but I'm done. I want to do something else for a while.
Yeah, no, and I totally get that. And I totally understand how it is that you kind of walk away and just shake your head like, really? But
it's not even that. It's not even that. It's just that, you know what? I love Prince, but I can't listen to Prince all day, every day. I got to check something else out too. I'll come back to Prince later and love it and maybe appreciate it more than I did before, but I got to do something else. So I'm really happy that
this so reminds me of a Motley Crue Tommy Lee thing where he was doing this piano thing on a video, and it was not Home Sweet Home, but it was something similar. And they said like, oh, it's sort of like Home Sweet Home. He's like, yeah, man. He goes, if you can't be that hard guy 24/7. It's just not reality.
Yeah.
He goes, you know what? We all feel, we all hurt, we all cry. He goes, you got to show that sometimes. You got to be real. He goes, that's why Home Sweet Home was so real, because it was legit. It was how we felt on the road. And I had this piece that just made me cry, and I thought, wow, this feeds into it. Granted, he's a jerk most of the time, but at least in that moment, because I've met him, and he was a jerk. You know, it made sense because it was like,
Is the
oh,
industry
here.
standard.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. I don't even, that's not even a show. I could tell stories, but I'm not going to. But yeah, I mean, you know, we're people that get the honor of getting paid a lot of money to take a skill and talent that is part of who we actually are. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. The day I stop DJing and retire from being a DJ, I'll still be a DJ because you can't retire from who you are.
Right.
You retire from what you do.
Well, your mother was a nurse.
Yes.
And I know my good friend Amy Hanna was a registered nurse, and she hasn't practiced for a long time. And I said something about, well, you were a nurse. She says, oh, no, I am a
still
nurse.
a nurse.
It's like a Marine.
Right.
Once you are, you always are.
Yeah.
And I don't want to disparage any other career, but I will stand on my ground and fight to the end. If you are truly passionate about being titled with the honor of being known as a DJ and you earn it every gig and you work for it every gig, then that's who you are. You'll never really retire. You'll just stop doing what you do, but you'll still be a DJ.
Yeah.
And to me, it's one of the most honorable professions. The president of Goldman Sachs and CEO is David Solomon.
He does it.
He's a DJ.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
By the way, he's 2 years. If you ever look him up, he looks incredibly old, but he's only 2 years older than me.
And you're so young.
Well, that's,
I got to tell you, Jay, when I'm gone and I'm in the ground,
Yep.
there's going to be music coming out of my grave because I'll be decomposing.
There you
Nice.
Oh,
I like the Irish guy that I saw on TikTok who had recorded him muffled hitting on wood like, I'm still alive. What are you doing? Get me out of here. I'm not dead. And everyone in the cemetery was losing it. It's like, this is the way he's going out. And I'm like, I respect that.
yeah.
I had a fun show with you guys tonight.
This is great.
It was fun. I didn't get
always
to
is,
use
guys.
my radio voice, though.
I love working with people that I not only love, but that I respect. And I think it's
Yeah.
a joy to always come here every week to
It
be
is.
with two gentlemen who I respect immensely and care the world about. So it's a pleasure and an honor. And granted, I make hundreds of thousands of dollars due to contractual things with John.
Of course.
But that aside, I would do this for $80,000.
You'd do it anyway.
Episode.
Yeah. you would do it for a
Much
tenth of
less
the
than
money,
I
which
make
would
now.
only be like 50 grand an episode.
If I had to, Brian, John, who are you? If I had to,
Yeah.
I would do that. Yes.
And this is why people stay.
I love that there's going to be people, this is the best part. Every
Right.
time I bring up the whole contract thing, I know for a fact somebody walks away here going, you think he really gets that kind of money?
He wasn't that good. I
He
could have
really
done
get
that.
$100,000 an episode?
Jesus.
I heard him say something about $500,000. There's no way John
Oh my
pays him
God.
that, is there? Like, have you met John?
Oh well.
John's paying me in like orange marmalade, maybe, but not in six figures.
We might.
I got some wood pulp.
Nice. We might actually record this next week, Tuesday. Maybe. I know Jay's got some stuff.
Maybe.
We'll see what happens.
No, I'll be around.
Oh, well, then we'll be here next week, Tuesday.
No, we're on the right time. I'll be in Vegas.
See you
then.
next Tuesday.
And I may have special guests. I might bring in some of the DJs from Wedding MBA, maybe.
Nice.
Well, I'll see
Very
Richard
cool.
Mays, I guarantee. I'll see
Oh,
Richard.
I'd love to see Richard.
I will see Richard because he's living in Vegas.
Yes, he's
And-
working in Vegas. He was
And I
working-
will definitely be having drinks with a good friend of ours, Mr. Cox.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, so
bring
there's
him in.
there's a
I'll
good
say
maybe I'll
Yeah.
bring them all to like Frankie's Tiki Lounge along with my AirPod, MacBook Air, and we'll just go crazy.
Maybe.
Love it.
It'd be a
Love it.
Vegas edition.
Yeah.
We'll see you then, guys. Thanks
Cheers,
for
everyone. Stay
watching.
well, stay safe. Thank you.
See you next week.